Alright, yesterday we did decimals to fractions. Today we're going the opposite. We're going to take fractions and turn them into decimals. There's two different ways to do that. The first way to change a fraction to a decimal we've already done before. So if you have like 3/4, then you just do 3 divided by 4. So 3 divided by 4, put your decimal in your zeros. Put a 0 here because it won't go in. Your decimal up there. 4 will go into 30. 7 times 4 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. Bring down your 0. 4 will go into 25 times. 4 times 5 is 20. And you come out to 0. So that's one way to to change a fraction into a decimal. We'll call that method. We'll call that actually method 2. I'll show them to you a little bit backwards. Method 1 is going to refer back to what we did yesterday. Yesterday we were taking decimals and putting them on the place value chart to where they fell into the tenths, they fell into the hundredths, they fell into the thousandths. So in order to do that, we come back to this place value chart over here, and we see that if it's in the tenths, it's going to be over 10. If it's in the hundredths, it's going to be over 100. If it's in the thousandths, it's going to be over 1,000. So what we can do is we can take these fractions that we have here and see if we can get them over 10, over 100, or over 1,000. So we have those choices are over 1,000. So what we do is you take our original fraction and see if we can get it over one of these. So we take 3/4 equals something over 10. Well, we can't go straight from 4 to 10. There's nothing that we can multiply, so we'll have to go up to 100. Is there anything that we can multiply 4 by to get 100? And yes, there is. 4 times 25 equals 100. So we multiply this by 25, and we got to do the same thing to the top because we're getting an equivalent fraction. So we end up with 4 times 25 is 100, 3 times 25 is 75, and then we say that as a fraction, that's 75 hundredths. And if you say 75 hundredths as a fraction and then you say it as a decimal, it's 0.75. So these two equal each other. So those are the two methods. One method is going to be divide the top by the bottom, which sometimes you'll have to use that method. It'll be a number that you can't get to over 10, over 100, or over 1,000. And then other times you'll have one that may already be set up. It may just be 7/10. So 7/10 is easy. You're just going to say 0.7. So if you can get it to 10, get it to 100, or get it to 1,000 easily, that's the easier way to do it with bigger numbers or bigger fractions. If not, go with method 2, which is the way we've done before, to where you just divide the top by the bottom to get the fraction. Alright, so we'll do a few example problems. So we have 3/5. So we can do this one both ways. First of all, can we get it over 10, over 100, or over 1,000? If you can get it over 10, you want to go with 10. You want to go with the smallest one you can. So can 3 over 5 turn into something over 10? Can we go from 5 to 10? Yeah, we can, by multiplying by 2. So we do that at the top as well, times 2, and we get 6/10. 6/10, when you say that as a decimal, it becomes 0.6, because 6/10 on here would be, you just put the 6 in there, it'd be 0.6. Alright, so we'll do a different one. Actually, we'll go ahead and do this one the other way as well. So we can do it with the other method, which is method 2. So method 1, we did 6 over 10 to give us 0.6. We'll use method 2, which is 3 divided by 5, the top divided by the bottom. And we have our decimal and our zeros. 5 will not go into 3, so we put a 0 with our decimal. 5 will go into 30 6 times. 5 times 6 is 30. It subtracts out to 0, and we get the same answer. So we've used method 1 up here. We use method 2 down here. We get the same answer both times. And this one is pretty easy both ways. Alright, doing another example, we have 14 over 25. Now if I come down here and I use method 2 of 14 divided by 25, I can do this and I'm going to end up getting an answer. But it's going to be much easier to use this way. So if I look at it and I say, can I get it over 10? Can I get it over 100? Can I get it over 1,000? Well, I can look at it right now and go ahead and tell that getting it to 10 is not going to work. It's just not. 25 is bigger than 10 and it doesn't divide evenly. 10 is out. So I'll look at, can I get it over 100? Is there anything that I can do to 25 to become 100? And there is. I can multiply it times 4. And I got to do the same thing to the top. So 25 times 4 is 100. 14 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry my 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so I have 56. So I have 56 over 100, which is 56 hundredths, which is its decimal. I'm going to come over here. And it needs to finish up in the hundredths place, in the over 100, so it's going to be 56 hundredths. And then I bring my decimal down and put a 0 with it. So come back here, it's going to be 0.56. So being able to look at a fraction, and if it's over 10, if it's over 100, if it's over 1,000, knowing that it's going to be tenths, hundredths, or thousandths is going to help you. If you can say the word, if you can put it in word form, it's going to be easier to switch it from fraction form to decimal form. This is really not a difficult concept. You just got to be able to know how to say the different things. We'll do one more example problem with a little bit bigger type of question to where you have no choice but to use method 1. If you used method 2, you'd be there for a while trying to work it out. So we've got 102 over 250. So we can't get this one to 10. We can't get it to 100. Can we get it to 1,000? So we'll put 1,000 there. Is there anything that we can do to 250 to get to 1,000? Then there is. You can multiply 250 times 4 to get to 1,000. Got to do the same thing to the top. 102 times 4 is 408. So it's going to be 408 thousandths. So 408 thousandths as a decimal looks like 0.408. And we can come back to our place value and check that out. And it needs to end up here. So 408 thousandths. So it'll be 408 over 1,000. It's wherever it ends. And put our 0 and our decimal in front to get that final answer. So there's several different examples here that you can work on. Some of the ones are going to be just more difficult decimal problems. And I'll do one more decimal problem using method 2, one that's a little tougher than the ones we've done so far. And I promise this will be the last one. And as I'm doing these problems, you need to work them out on your own. So if I had 12 over 75. So this one, I can't get to a 10, I can't get it to 100, and I can't get it to 1,000. I'd have to do a couple different steps to do that. So I can take 12 divided by 75, put my decimal and my zeros. 75 won't go into 1, it won't go into 12, so put an X there, bring my decimal up. 75 will go into 120, it'll go in there one time. So put 75 down there. 120 minus 75. I'm going to have to borrow from that, make it a 1, make that 10. I had to borrow from that, make that a 0, make that 11. So it's going to be 45, bring down a 0. Will 75 go into 450? Well, I got to kind of guess and check a little bit there. So I'm going to guess 5 times. 75 times 5 would be 5, carry my 2. 375, well that's short, so I'll go 75 times 6. Get 0, carry my 3. 6 times 7 is 42, plus 3 is 45. So it goes in exactly 6 times. With 6 times 75 being 450. So by doing that, I've got my answer. My answer for this is going to be 0.16. So 12 over 75 is equal to 0.16, and I had to use method 2. I could have used method 1, but it would have taken a lot longer. Sometimes you're just going to have to use method 2. So you need to be able to use method 1 and method 2. If you forget how to do it, refer back to the video. It's not as long of a video today. You need to know how to do both ways, though. If you can't do both ways, you're not going to be able to consistently get them right. If you can't consistently get them right, you're not going to pass the lesson. You can't pass the lesson, you won't pass the test, and you won't pass the class. So make sure that you know both ways. This is something that we're going to use over and over and over. Today's a big lesson. You've got to learn how to do this. Give it your best effort, give it your best focus, and get both methods down. Good luck.